All right, awesome. Welcome back, everyone, to another Sunday strategy session. Today, I want to talk about the importance of celebrations, celebrating your wins, big and small. As everyone knows, whenever I hop on a call or weekly coaching calls, the very first thing that I always ask is, can we share wins? Share me a win, tell me a win. And the reason for that is because if we don't plan, then we plan to fail, right? This is a saying that's been thrown around forever. And when we don't plan for the inevitable, that's just willful ignorance. And there's certain things that we know to be true. And when we're talking about any goal, whether it's weight loss, whether it's building a business, whether it's building your relationships, there's certain things that we know that will be true throughout the course of our journey. One of those things that it's going to be hard. There is no way that we get to the end of any goal, any big dream, anything like that without struggle, right? And we know that inherently because otherwise it would be done already. If it were easy, it would already be done. So we know these things are going to be hard. Now, again, if we don't plan for that, we are sitting in willful ignorance and we are planning to fail. We also know that we will feel lonely and isolated at times, right? All of these goals tend to be things that we do on our own. Again, weight loss, building a business, working on a relationship. I use these things interchangeably because they're all very much the same. These are the journey is of the self. I have to do this myself. I have to do the hard work. I have to be the one making the tough decisions. I am the one turning down social events. I am the one eating food that I maybe otherwise wouldn't be eating. I am the one working out when I could be sleeping. I am the one staying up late at night working on my business when I could be sleeping more or watching TV. These things, again, are not a matter of if, but a matter of when. And always you will want to quit. It's not, again, a question of if I'm going to want to quit. It's a question of when will this happen? These are things that we know to be true. So now if we don't plan for these things ahead of time, we are accepting them already, right? If we do not plan for what we'll do when it gets hard, if we do not plan for what we do when we feel isolated, when we want to quit, we are accepting those things as facts already. So on top of things that we know will happen in the future, these are things that we know that are going to happen. As I said, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. We also know some other things to be true. And that is, these things are hard because there can be no growth without struggle, right? We cannot get better without pushing ourselves to the limit. A muscle grows only after you tear it down, right? We learn from our mistakes. There is no way to push ourselves forward without first struggling through it. We also know that you started this for a reason, right? You started this journey for a reason. And when we get to that point of I want to quit, right? We see that down here. You will want to quit. And when we get to that point, that's when we have to remember that we started this for a reason. Because again, it's not a question of if I'm going to want to quit. It's not a question. It is a question of when. But that's why we have to we come back to having our why and remembering that, yes, I do want to quit, but there's a reason I started in the first place. And I always have to have that top of mind. And we always have to remember as well that we have the ability and all you need to do is keep going. The only way we fail is if we stop. The only way we fail is when we give up, right? Everyone has these things of like, oh, I did so bad and like I fell off. But falling off is not the same as failing, because failing only happens when you stop trying. You can fall off and you will fall off again 100 times, 1,000 times. That's always a part of the process. And we know that, all right? And that's why I say fail to plan, plan to fail. We know that you're going to fall off. We know that you're going to want to quit. We know that this is going to be hard. And so we plan for those things rather than to just sit in willful ignorance and sit with our head in the clouds or our head in the sand or wherever you want to think about it and pretend like these things aren't going to happen. So the Stockdale paradox. This is a story. It's been told many times, specifically in the book called Good to Great. Good to Great focuses on how a bunch of top performing companies, the difference between what makes a company great and a company good. And in this book, the author tells the story. So in the book Good to Great, the author tells the story of Admiral Jim Stockdale. And Admiral Jim Stockdale was I think, Air Force or Navy admiral, I don't know, during the Vietnam War. And he was captured and imprisoned in a internment camp in Vietnam. And he was imprisoned for 8 years. And he was the highest ranking official in the internment camp. So he was tortured. He was paraded out in front of others and demeaned and degraded, and all types of horrible things were done to him. And he survived, and he came back, and he basically became a very motivational person. But whatever, the point is that he was asked by the author of this book, Good to Great, well, how did you survive, and what was the difference between the people that you saw that didn't survive? Because plenty of people were in the same internment camp, plenty of American soldiers who were below him, who weren't tortured as hard as he was, who weren't there for as long as he was, and plenty of them didn't survive. And what he said was, those were the people who had too much hope. And basically what he said, it was like, there were people who kept thinking like, we're going to be out before Christmas, and then Christmas would come and they would still be there. And then they say, well, at least we'll get out before Easter. And then Easter would come and they would still be there. And he said, those people who had that specific hope, that where they were focused on a specific thing and a specific date, their hope would get crushed. And those people didn't survive. They ended up dying of a broken heart. They couldn't hold on anymore. They couldn't withstand the torture and the things that were being pushed upon them. So it's written in the book. Again, the book is called Good to Great, but basically he puts it as, the way that the author writes is, you must maintain unwavering faith that you can and will prevail in the end, regardless of the difficulties, and at the same time have the discipline to confront the most brutal of facts of your current reality, whatever they may be. So that's the point that I want to poke on here. It's not about having hope. We do need to have hope, but it needs to be balanced with the discipline to confront the most brutal facts of your current reality, right? So going back to here, where we know it will be hard, we know you'll feel lonely and isolated, we know you will want to quit, right? We know that you can't grow without struggle. We know that you started for a reason. We know that you have the ability if you don't quit. Those are the brutal facts and the reality that we have to balance this with. So if we have this thing of, we only focus on the result, where we're so thinking about like what we want and when we're going to get there, and then it doesn't come in the way that we want it to, that's when we set ourselves up for failure, and we set ourselves up to be that person who gives up, who quits. So we need to find this place of being an optimist, but also a realist, because we need the optimism. We want to push forward, but we have to be realistic in what we're asking for. So, as the saying goes, you can't see the forest through the trees. And when people are saying that, they're talking about, when you're so focused on the minutia, you don't see the bigger picture. And this is true. This is a big deal. People get so bogged down in the day-to-day that they don't look at the bigger picture. But we can also flip that and see on the opposite, where if we get too zoomed out, we overlook the tiny stepping stones, right? If you're driving through the fog, like in this picture, you can't see 2 miles ahead of you. So someone driving through that fog who can't see 2 miles ahead of them might think that they have to pull over and stop. But what you can see is 10 feet in front of you. And then when you drive 10 feet, you can see 10 more feet. And when you drive 10 feet, you can see 10 more feet. So someone who continues to drive through the fog, continually focused on the 10 feet in front of them, will actually go much further than someone who's trying to look all the way deep off into the horizon where they actually can't see them. And they're going to let themselves get bogged down by that fact, like, oh, I can't see the whole way, so what's the point? Or how can I keep going? But you don't need to see the whole way. You just need to see the 10 feet that are in front of you. Right. And so a good example of this is, people will take a long train ride out into the countryside to go for a hike and see the autumn fall leaves, right? It's fall here in New York right now, New York City, New York State, and we have the leaves are changing, and people will take a 3-hour train ride up into the country to go look at the leaves, not noticing that they are literally traveling through the countryside for the entire 3-hour train ride. And all they had to do was look out the window for the entire time. So they're literally not paying attention to the journey that takes them there. And because they're so fixated on the end result, they're so fixated on getting to that place that they don't appreciate the actual journey, right? I've done podcasting. I've talked to all you guys before about appreciating the journey and not just the destination. So the reason that this is so important, going back to the title of today's presentation, which is celebrations, the importance of celebrations, all of this has been negative things so far, right? We need to plan for the inevitable. Things are going to be hard. You're going to feel lonely. You're going to want to quit, right? We talked about the Stockdale paradox, where like if you're too focused on the thing and then you don't get it, it becomes a self-defeating prophecy, right? I'm so focused on the result. I'm so focused that these prisoners were so focused on, okay, we're going to get out by this date, and then it didn't happen. We're going to get out by this date, and then it didn't happen. And this becomes a self-defeating prophecy. So we need to plan for negatives because we know that these things are going to happen. We need to plan for struggle because we know that, again, struggle is what creates change. If staying the same can't create change, it's impossible. We need friction to create change, right? And then when we understand that we have what's called a negativity bias. I've talked to many of you guys about this on our calls before. Negativity bias is a human condition, a human psychological trait where we pay more attention to negatives than positives. And this comes from an evolutionary imperative, meaning throughout our tens of thousands of millions of years of evolution as humans, we have evolved to be more predisposed to pay attention to negative things because that's a safety mechanism. If I'm walking through the forest and I get bit by a snake, I need to remember what that snake looks like to know if it's poisonous. I need to remember what bush that snake came out of. So I remember negative things. If I'm eating from a berry bush and the berries are poisonous, I need to remember what those poisonous berries look like. I need to remember where that berry bush was. So our brain pays closer attention to negative things, right? And this is why everyone has had an experience of having an entire day full of normal things. You wake up, you go to work, you talk to people, blah, 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 blah. And one person says one off remark to you, or you have one weird encounter with someone on the train or in traffic or something like that. And it taints your whole day. And like, so you get home and someone says, hey, how was your day? And you're like, oh, it was shitty. I had this person said this to me, when it was only a 5-second interaction, but it tainted your whole day because your brain pays more attention to that. There's more salience to the negative things. And then we have what's called the positive to negative ratio. And studies have shown that it takes 5 instances of positivity to outweigh 1 instance of negativity. And everyone knows, you guys should have all seen my self-talk presentation where we talk about the power of positive self-talk. And this is exactly for this reason. If we know that we are predisposed to pay more attention to negative things, we know that, right? And then we also know that it takes 5 positive things to outweigh 1 negative thought. So positive thoughts, positive intentions, positive phrases to outweigh 1 negative one. And we're already paying attention more to negative. Then what we need to do is we have to fight fire with fire, meaning we have to be very intentional about finding positivity and literally inserting it into our lives. Because this does not happen by accident, right? We have a bias towards negativity. We are going to pay more attention to negative things. Negative things happen to us at the same rate. Whether a positive or negative thing happens to us is completely random. That's how life is. Some good things are going to happen. Some bad things are going to happen. We're going to struggle. For some things are going to be super hard and some things are going to be easy. Those things are out of our control. Going back to last week's Sunday strategy call about controlling the controllables, okay? Some of those things are outside of our control. However, what we can control is where our focus goes and the things that we purposefully put into our lives. And that's why we get to celebrating your wins and why these things are so important, because celebrating our wins become the direct way for us to input these positive positive weights on the scale of positive to negative, right? We need 5 positives for every negative. So we have to create them. No one's just going to give us things, positive things all the time. I guess some good things happen to us that make us smile, but if we know that negativity outweighs positivity 5-1, we can't just settle for letting it happen randomly. We have to force this into our lives. And we do that by celebrating our wins. And we celebrate our wins no matter what, no matter how small, and no matter how trivial. You see, trivial is in quotation marks because there's no such thing as a trivial win. Everyone on this call knows that I start every coaching call the same way. Give me a win. Tell me a win. Tell me something that went good this week. And remember that these are never wins just about one certain thing. This is never a win about, if we're talking weight loss, it's never only a weight loss win. If we're talking business, it's never only a business win, because a win is a win is a win. And we're trying to tip the scales of positive and negative. So negative is here, negative is here, positive is here. We're trying to tip this. So every win that I can celebrate helps me balance those scales to where I'm getting more positivity in my life. These celebrations help us refocus on the positive. Again, we have a tendency towards negativity. That is natural. That is evolved in us from tens of thousands of millions of years. It is unavoidable, but we can fight against it by refocusing our brain on more positive things. And it also, by celebrating our wins, trains our brain to look for things to celebrate, right? You guys may know I'm in the middle of a 100 days of gratitude challenge, right? So I challenge myself to do every day to find 3 things that I'm grateful for and post it on social media. Today's like day 20 something. The reason I did this was for exactly this reason, because I want to train my brain to find things that I am grateful for. So, it's easy enough to say, well, I'm grateful for my mom, and I'm grateful for my nephew. I'm grateful for my sister. I'm grateful for my shelter. And I go through all those things. In the first 5 days, I went through all the easy ones. But now day 20, day 30, day 40, I'm still looking for things to be grateful for. And I have to be grateful for more things. And that helps me understand that there is so much to be grateful for, right? I could be grateful for the rain on the rainy days because it means that there's sunny days other days. I can be grateful for traffic because it allows me an extra 5 minutes to sit in silence before I get to wherever I'm going. I can be grateful for the homeless guy who harassed me on the street because it made me realize that I don't have mental disorders that are going to lead me to be homeless down the road. Whatever the thing is, the point is I'm training my brain to look for these things. And that's what celebrating your wins does. It trains your brain to look for the positive. And again, that's why it can't be too small or it can't be too trivial, because that's not the point. The point is not, oh my God, I had the biggest, most mind-altering, world-bending revelation, the biggest win where I lost 20 pounds. And it's not about that. It's about building the small momentum. We talk about this all the time, building momentum, because momentum is what keeps you going, right? Going back to right in the beginning here, if we do not plan for it to be hard, if we do not plan for it to be lonely, if we do not plan to want to quit, we're going to plan to fail. So the way we balance this, we balance out these inevitable aspects of a growth journey, of a personal change journey, of a personal development journey, of a weight loss journey. These things are inevitable. So we balance them out by forcing positivity into our brain by celebrating every small win along the way. But we also have to know that there's a right way to celebrate. Meaning a lot of people, especially, it's a very easy one when we talk about diets, right? What do people do? Well, I did good all week, so I can cheat meal, or I deserve this, I earned this. And then they end up sabotaging all of the hard work that they did for an entire week. So I do want you to celebrate. But we have to realize that there's a right and a wrong way to celebrate. Not a wrong way. There's better and worse ways to celebrate. So first thing is that we always want to focus on inputs and not outcomes. So if I'm talking about weight loss, if that's my goal is to lose 20 pounds. I don't celebrate losing a pound. What I celebrate, because that's an outcome, what I celebrate is doing the thing that leads to me losing a pound. So if my goal is to lose 20 pounds and I know to do that, I have to get 5,000 steps every day, track my calories, and go to the gym 3 times a week. Tracking my calories is something I celebrate. Did I do the thing? Yes. Getting my steps in today is something I celebrate. Did I do the thing? Going to the gym once this week is a celebration. Getting all 3 this week is a bigger celebration. Those are things I celebrate because those are inputs and they're not outcomes. Then I also have to make sure that there are rewards that make me feel good and are related to the goal. Meaning if I'm saying like my goal is to go to the gym 4 times this week, and then my reward is like I'm going to go out drinking with my friends. I mean, yes, that makes me feel good, but it's not really related to my goal. It doesn't really, my brain doesn't see the link between these things. I want to have something where I can link these two things where I'm like, oh, when I do this, then I get this good thing. And that's why, going back to, again, the lesson on self-talk, affirmations are so powerful here and they're so easy. I sent a lot of you the podcast with Mel Robbins, where she talked about the high five habit, giving yourself a high five. If I haven't sent that to any of you guys, I will send it to you right after this podcast, because it's a great one where you can use affirmations and self-talk to be your reward. It doesn't have to be a thing, right? It doesn't have to be a cheat meal. Oh, I dieted good all week. Now I can eat a whole cake. Again, that's counterproductive to your goal. It can be, I dieted well all week. I can tell to myself, hey, great job. Right? That is a celebration. That is a reward. It feels good to say good things about ourselves, right? If someone else gives you a compliment, you feel good about that. It makes you feel good. It makes you smile. So you can do the same thing to yourself. You can look in the mirror and say, I did great today. I'm proud of myself. Like these days, it doesn't have to be anything revolutionary. It doesn't have to be anything where it's like, oh my God, like I'm literally rewarding myself with a thing. I don't have to buy myself an actual gift. I need to celebrate emotionally. Right. And that's why it says the reward has to make you feel good. It has to make you feel something, because that's the way your brain makes the connection. I have to feel an emotional connection and feel positively. And then my brain will start to crave that reward. And that will be the trigger that makes me want to do that thing more. And again, I want it to be related to my goal. And then the last part is scalable, meaning if we are celebrating small wins, then the celebrations also need to be small. So it can't be, I turned down a soda at lunch and told my boss I would just have a water, and now I'm going to celebrate that by having a cake for dinner. Like that doesn't work like that. Like if I'm celebrating a small win, the small celebration might be like a thumbs up, a high five, a pat on the back, and an exclamation. Now, if it's a big win where it's like I set a 3-month goal to lose 20 pounds and I finally lost 20 pounds and it's been 3 months, that might be indicative of a larger celebration, like, going out with friends or doing something, whatever. But the point is that the celebration has to be on par with the goal that you're working towards or with the action that you're taking. So that if we can adhere to these rules, that's when we can make sure that we're not sabotaging ourselves with celebration, because a lot of people use this to be like, oh, well, like they use celebrations as cheats and like taking days off, like, oh, well, I worked so hard. I earned this rest, which is true. You do earn rest, but it depends on, again, does it make you feel good? Is it rest because you're just over it? Or is it rest because it's like, I'm resting because my body is beat down from a long week. And I know that if I rest for a day, I'll come back invigorated and feel better, right? Those are two different things. There's resting because like, I just don't feel like working out today. And there's resting because this is what's best for my body right now. Right? Same thing with food. I'm indulging in a treat because I haven't had it in a while. And I know that having half a bar of chocolate or something like that is something that I've been craving, and I can do that in a controlled manner. And I've been good for 3 days, so I'm going to have a pizza. Like those are different things. We have to understand that all celebrations are not built equally. And there's a way that we can do this that keeps us on track for our goals. And there's a way that we can do this that throws us off our goals. And then it's like, well, I did a cheat day. What the hell? I thought I was allowed to do those. We have to be realistic with this stuff. So the homework that I'm going to leave you guys with is I want you to think of your process goals for the week, right? Remember, process goals, not outcome goals. Then think of what your done looks like for both the day and the week. Meaning, if I'm talking again about steps, it could be my done for the day is I got 5,000 steps today. Check, I got it, or X, I didn't. I know for a fact at the end of each day if I did or I didn't. And then I know that my goal is to get at least 5,000 steps, let's say 6 out of 7 days a week. So I know that my done for the day is, did I get my steps for that day? And my done for the week is, did I get 6 out of 7? And now think of rewards that match the level of the goal. Meaning, think of a small reward that I can do each day, a small celebration. Doesn't have to be a reward. Again, I don't want you to think tangible reward like it's something you're giving yourself. It's just a celebration, something that will just make me feel good. It could be a 5-minute meditation. It could just be talking to someone on the phone, sending a text to someone you like. It doesn't matter what the thing is, but something that matches the level of challenge for a small daily goal. And then something that matches the level of challenge of that full weekly goal. Then I want you to, this week, track both the goals. So track, did I reach the goal daily? Did I reach the goal weekly? But then also track, did I give myself the reward? So not just at the end of Monday, did I get my steps, but at the end of Monday, did I get my steps, and did I do my celebration? At the end of Tuesday, did I get my steps, and did I do my celebration? At the end of the week, did I get my full week's worth of X habit, and then did I do my celebration for that? Because we'll start to see a pattern. Is doing the thing and doing the celebration pushing me towards doing the thing more? Am I feeling a difference in doing the celebration and doing the habit? We can't just do this one time and expect that it's going to revolutionize anything or reinvent the wheel. We understand that these are small things that are being ingrained into our subconscious over time. But with time and with constant inputs, we start to push ourselves, move the needle a little bit more towards positivity. Again, the scale of positive and negative right now is heavily weighed on the negative side, and we want to slowly tip that scale towards the positive. And that's why we go back to the importance of celebrations. So this is your homework for today. You can take a screenshot of this slide or something like that, or I'll be emailing it to everyone right after we're done. But I want you to, when you're thinking about what your goals for the week are, also be thinking of what are some ways that I can be celebrating these small wins each and every day. All right. I'll see everyone on next week's call. Have a great day. Thanks for being here.